Hey, RetconRaider here. With special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible. Including, but not limited to, Matthew Smith, Revenant, Alois, Anerdinwarpaint, Dragon Matrix 7, Eerie V23, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, Kazorm, Lima, Nathan Welch Jr., Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, let's get started. And welcome back to Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. As we walk back to Dresden, because of course we can't teleport there. I never actually built a teleportation circle. As I recall now, I had paused on constructing one since I wanted to get the engineering guild up first, which has now been completed, but I never got the circle started, so here we are. But you know what, that's fine. It'll only take about a day to get back. That'll give us time for a little more army wrangling. Not that we're going to hit any more targets. We're going to let our spell points build up a bit first, since we're running a little low. But there are a couple of things we want to take care of before we get caught up in all of the various council events. Speaking of which, I did do a dry run of that, and it turns out that there were a lot more than I thought there were going to be, so we might be running a bit long today. I really want to make sure we get all this stuff out of the way in a single episode, all of the council events at least. That way we'll be in a decent position next time around to at least start thinking about getting back out in the field. Though I am still less certain about exactly what our target will be. That said, let's head back and we'll figure things out from there. Oh, attack out of nowhere. Molten Scar. Oh, okay. So that is, that's where the mysterious attacks are coming from. Alright. We'll put a pin in that for now, but we might check that out on our next outing. It's not too far, and I do recall that one being one of the shorter mandatory quests in Act 3. That might be a good one to break our teeth on, so to speak, as opposed to the more ambitious stuff in Winter Sun or you know, hunting down a dragon. Anyway, let's get back to Dresden. Oh, come on. This is the last thing we have time for today. But you know what? It's fine. At least this way we get a little bit of action before all that paperwork. I was really hoping that would provoke. Oh well. Yeah, let's maybe shuffle our back line away from these guys. Ember. Hi. Okay, well that certainly worked out.
Out of my sight!
Yeah, fight's over here, buddy. And we are pretty much done.
are nothing before me.
Well, maybe not. And now we're done. Regil, buddy, you gotta step up your game. Alright, that was actually pretty fun, and it was only like 3 minutes work for 500 experience points and 500 gold. Since we're already stalled, we might as well check this out while we're at it. Right, that's just a relic quest. And you know what? Let's get this one going. I still have no idea what that does, but I have been told repeatedly that it is very important. As for our armies, we are not moving them around right now. But what we do need to do is we need to pull in some new basic recruits. Because some of these events that we're about to tackle will upgrade certain base unit types. So the more of those base unit types we have, the more free upgrades we'll get. I think. I mean, I'd have to do the math to know if we're really saving money on that, but better safe than sorry. And then, of course, we also want a general, just in case any of these events unlock new, unique general buffs. Oh, and immediately I can go ahead and dismiss all these guys and go right for Setsuna Shai. Because with Masters of Maneuver and Scorching Ray, he is absolutely the best caster general. I might, man, I might actually shuffle things around so he's our primary general. But that's for future retcon to worry about. We're focused on other things today. Man, this is perfect. Everyone fits. Alright, folks. Buckle up for some exciting crusade management events. Honestly, I am very much looking forward to this. You know me. I love reading this stuff. Commander, Anevia greets you with a slight nod. I have some information for you, though what I found out is mostly innocent. It might be cause for concern. Oh yeah? What do you mean? Well, it's about the well-being of one of your companions. Really now? Okay, lay it on me. Soldiers have been gathering in the graveyard to play cards. We usually turn a blind eye to such things, though it's against regulations. We let them enjoy themselves as long as they don't cause too much trouble. And that's usually the case. But recently, my people have noticed Social among them, and the gambling seems to have an unhealthy effect on him. As you know, I usually keep my nose out of other people's private affairs. With all these spies and cultists, I have too much on my plate as it is. But this time, it's about someone you trust with your life, so maybe you should do something about it. This isn't an official report, just a tip-off from a friend. So. That guy's got problems. But, yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you, Anevia. I will, I'll look into it. You're welcome. Before you stands a tall, fit man whose dark hair is already tinged with gray. He greets you with a brisk military salute. My name is Captain Seilkind. I command the vanguard of a mercenary group called the Blackstone Company. We've come from Daeran to assist you. Cool. Tell me about your company, I guess. The Blackstone Company is proud to be recognized as one of the finest Andorran mercenary regiments. We're not a bunch of unscrupulous sellswords looking to oppress the innocent and serve the tyrants of the world. No, we're adventurers eager to get involved in a dangerous enterprise and leave it with pockets full of gold. And a clear conscience. Which is why we held a vote among our units. We were glad to accept Queen Galfrey's invitation to join the crusade, though some of our commanders did voice their displeasure with the sum she offered. But like I said, we Andorrans are a free people who cannot be pushed around and who cannot be bought. Only convinced. Okay, so why did you decide to join up then? If not for the gold. Well, I mean, Queen Galfrey did pay for our services, but please do not think we're fighting for gold alone. We are true sons and daughters of Andoran, so the ideals of equality and resisting enslavement ring true in our hearts. We will be glad to stand in the way of demons who seek to force mortal kind into bondage. The bulk of our company made camp in Nerosian, but the vanguard, consisting of our finest soldiers, if I may add, was put under your command. Well, I do appreciate that, but I've got to say it's almost suspiciously altruistic. Though, I mean, I guess I do get it. I did study Andoran a little bit when I was making Creed Ironfang. Tell me about yourself, Captain. The man flashes a genuine smile. I don't even know what to say. I'm a soldier, a bit of an explorer, and just an all-around honest man. Well, that is refreshingly taciturn, I guess? Okay. Go about your duties, I guess. I'm sure someone here can tell you what those are. Nice to meet you, Seilkind. Yes, sir. Glad to be under your command. Captain Seilkind salutes you again, smiles, and adds in a softer voice. It will be an honor to serve with you, Commander. If you have any questions, let me know. If you need to talk, I'd be happy to lend an ear. And that sounds like code that he would like to speak with us in private, so we'll have to pencil that in for later. Yeah, I should have realized that was coming once he gave us a one-sentence response on personal details. Aru! Irabeth said that we're under threat from demons with unusual abilities. Like that Nabasu that attacked your army at the Lost Chapel. They're very powerful and they're growing in number. You haven't found out where they're coming from, have you? Arueshalae looks around shyly and continues, lowering her voice, as if entrusting you with a personal secret. I'm not sure, but I think I have a lead. I know where to find someone who can lead us to the source of their power. Oh yeah? And who might that be? A hag by the name of Jeronika. She used to live here before the fall of Sarkaris, but when the demons invaded this world, she happily took their side. The old cannibal knows many secrets. You just have to make her talk. Okay, and does this Jeronika have superpowers? Her? I doubt it. But still, be careful. She is a very old, very sly creature, and she's incredibly dangerous. Duly noted. And where exactly can we find her? The place is called the Green Gates. I'll show you how to get there. Long ago, before the World Wound, there was a Sarkorian fortress there. Then Crusaders built a small chapel. But for many, many years, the place has been home to nothing but abomination and squalor. Sounds lovely. Aru, how exactly did you come across this information? Arueshalae quickly looks at the faces of those present and seems to curl in on herself. Quietly, almost whispering, she says, "That is a long story. I will tell you when we get there, all right?" Oh, Aru. I thought you were supposed to be good at lying. Okay, yeah, sure, that's fine. Not like you won't be with us. Thanks. Thanks for the information. Happy to help. It's just... Arueshalae looks around cautiously again and lowers her voice. You won't go there without me, will you? I want to personally make sure this monster doesn't escape you. Yeah, this is sounding more and more like a revenge quest than a find out where superpowers are coming from quest, but as a follower of Callistria, I guess I should just embrace that. Alright, Aru. Will do. The overwhelming fragrance of roses hits you as soon as you enter the headquarters. But after you've already talked to 3 people. Roses occupy every inch of available space, fresh and sweet-smelling, as if they have just come into bloom. The scene is capped off by Daeran, who stands in the center of this rosarium with a single red rose in his hand, and an expression of utter innocence on his face. Ah, Commander Gottlieb. It's so good you dropped by. As you can see, I've been working on a little something, and I'm afraid some of your advisors are less than happy about it. Sure, if by a little something you mean an entire shipment of freshly cut roses, teleported here from some southern country. Erebeth shifts from foot to foot, glaring at the flowers pressing in from all sides. You could have outfitted an entire unit with the money you spent on this. Fortunately, they were my own personal funds, so I spent them as I saw fit. This gloomy citadel needed an injection of beauty. Daeran brings his crimson rose to his face and inhales its scent, his eyes never leaving yours. That's none of my business, of course. But I've known you for a long time, Daeran Arende. This whole thing looks like another scandalous stunt concocted to rile up the Crusaders. If you want to pay court to the commander, don't do it in our headquarters. My goodness, how scandalous. I, of course, have no opinion on this one way or the other. But what do you say to these allegations, Count Arende? A tragic misunderstanding has occurred. Daeran pauses while continuing to cast delighted glances at you over his rose. The thing is, I had no intention whatsoever of courting the commander in the romantic sense of this word. It never even crossed my mind. I do not know what led you to such a farcical conclusion. Daeran holds the rose with the utmost delicacy, waving it gently from side to side. According to recent research conducted by Absalom scholars, the scent of roses reduces stress and fatigue, refreshes one's thoughts, and stimulates intellectual activity. So I only had the good of the Crusades in mind when I placed these flowers here. My actions were entirely selfless and sincere. Yes, I can clearly see that. As with all of your actions, it was entirely selfless and not at all focused on anything that you might have wanted. Alright, well, I appreciate it, Daeran. It really brightens the place up and gives me a place to hide if I should need to crouch in foliage to ambush intruders. I'm sure Kaz will love them too. It's a great gift. Thank you. You are a treasure, Vex Gottlieb. I knew you would understand. What is so scandalous about a practical, innocent, and utterly unassuming gift from a friend? Exactly. Just bros being bros. You know, as happens. Man, Daeran is awesome. He bows. I do believe my work here is done. Till next time, Commander Gottlieb. Grandma Gretlen lowers herself into a bow. Good day, your commandership. It is we, the artistic board of the Next Door Theater. We are still working on our piece about your heroism. We have even taken on a few new crew members. We now have a master of stage equipment and scenery. It's my granddaughter, Tina. Tina, say hello to his commandership. We are faced with another dilemma. We simply can't decide on a climactic moment for the act that's all about the Battle of Dresden. Here, you listen to the options. Grandma Gretlen holds a scroll up before her eyes and begins to read, running a gnarled finger along each line. Option 1. The commander, so that's you, launches himself out of a catapult and smashes down the fortress wall, allowing the armies to rush inside. Option 2, the commander, so that's you again, masquerades as a succubus and creeps into Dresden in disguise, and then opens the gates to the Crusaders. Option 3, the commander, so that's you again, rides to the attack on an enormous mountain goat. Or should we call it a battering ram? And it breaks down the city gates. Well, what say you? Well, I mean, if you're going to throw wordplay like battering ram at me, then I'm pretty sure that's got to be it. Plus, you know, we're not too far off. I feel like a giant mountain goat is an adequate, upsized version of Kaz, if I am in fact being played by a Cyclops. Yeah, let's do that one, the thing with the mountain goat. But you sure you can track one down that's big enough for this? We're still working on that part, your commandership. It's hard to get a goat in the middle of the world wound, especially an enormous one. But we'll think of something. Don't you worry. Grandma Gretlen and her entourage move away, but their voices project so well that you can easily hear the rest of their conversation. Do you think the commander will mind if we add the goat and the catapult to the show? No, I wholeheartedly approve. That way, the bit where he breaks down the gates will make for much better drama. Did you forget that the role of the commander is being played by a Cyclops? How are we going to launch Lambkin out of a catapult? Where are we going to find a catapult that won't just break under his weight? Calm yourself, Tina. It's just a minor snag. You can't achieve success without a few difficulties along the way. We'll think of something. You'll see. Vex Godglove. I'm so pleased to see you alive and mostly unharmed. You've never seen this mortal before, but his voice. There can be no doubt that his voice belongs to Socothbenoth. Hey, Socks. As you can see, I wanted to get to know my new friend better, so I paid a visit to your abode. Your guest lowers his voice and gives you a playful wink. This is my favorite shape to wear when walking among mortals. It's cute, isn't it? It's alright. Too tall. I don't like having to look up at people. That's why I've got the murder cat. The Demon Lord speaks to you, adding coquettish undertones to his voice. I have to admit, your place is rather charming, although the lack of a pleasure palace does sour the mood a little bit. And your servants, they are such gentle and helpful people. They stood at attention and reported to me with unbelievable ardor. Upon further reflection, that might have happened because I took on your appearance, but let's not fret over minor details. Excuse me? While I was out walking, I heard several complaints addressed to me. And in this case by me, I of course mean you. A complaint is basically an invocation, so let's just agree that they were officially prayers to me. And I really must intervene on behalf of my new worshippers. The essence of these appeals is as follows. Your officers have grown sick of fighting. To be more precise, they are sick of fighting and not doing anything else. I can certainly understand their frustration. Even soldiers have a right to a personal life, after all. I suggest that you allow them to pair their duties with something more exciting. Or at least profitable. Socks, so what's the deal here? Are you giving up your old career as a demon lord to serve on one of my councils? I mean, I'm not going to say no. A demon lord advising the commander of the crusade. A most wonderful jest, but no, I will not be serving at your headquarters or make sure all of the soldiers have enough gruel. That is too much work. I am simply going to keep an eye on you and occasionally dispense valuable advice. Oh, well, I guess that's cool too. Let's look at our options here. Part-time jobs. All units provide gold per week. They could get profitable pretty quickly. That's not bad. Okay. Board Games Master. All generals gain the Board Games Master feat. The general gains additional experience points every day. Level times D100. Wow. Well, that is fantastic, because that would definitely help alleviate the issue of our secondary and tertiary generals falling behind. And then we've got this one. Harsh Discipline. Boost morale by 10. No thank you. Okay, yes, we are definitely going with this one then. Alright, Socks, how about this? How about we create some sort of elaborate mock battles that they would play on top of a table. They could roll dice to determine success based on probabilities, and, you know, they could make like a game of it. We could publish all sorts of books about different scenarios they might want to play through, different enemies they could face, and different sort of options or characters they might want to simulate in the more complex scenarios. I feel like there's a lot of potential there for these dice role-playing games. Well, I think that's a splendid idea. It's amazing that no one thought of this before. I'm sure this exciting activity is going to spread all over Golarion, and even the esteemed members of the Pathfinder Society Decemvirate will amuse themselves by playing it. You are so much fun to be around. I'm going to be back once I think of something else for your soldiers to do. Well, great. See you around, Socks. This was fun. We should do it more often. And yes, that's right. You all saw it. I, Vex Godglove, invented role-playing games. You're welcome. Hail, Commander. Before you, an aged yet fit and sturdy Garundi stands at attention. His dark skin has an earthy tone to it, and crystals sparkle forth from where his hair and eyebrows should be, clearly identifying him as an Oread. Captain Harmatin, chair of your staff council by order of Her Majesty, Queen Galfrey, here to deliver a report. I'm on this council too. Seela salutes briskly. We'll be racking our brains on how to improve troop morale. I reckon the key is to back up our words with actions. Lead your soldiers by example, and they'll be eager to follow. Drawing on my experience as a paralictor, my advice is to maintain calculated moderation in every regard, be it an incentive or penalty, and to be decisive. We have no need for doubts or turmoil. I'm doomed to be your advisor, but do you know what that means? That you are doomed to listen to my advice. To start things off, here's an incredibly novel and deep thought for you. Loyalty, passion, and morale, all of these can easily be bought with money. Man's got a point. Commander, permission to report. We've encountered a problem. Although we're still getting volunteers, we're now seeing cases of desertion. Many who joined the Dresden campaign believe that their duty has been fulfilled with the victory, and they are not keen on staying in the garrison. Those from Canabras wish to return home and rebuild their ruined city. Lastly, there are those who are afraid of lingering in a place where demons might show up, with a retaliatory expedition at any moment. My suggestion is to improve living conditions for the privates, raise their pay, give them extra rations, and reward those who have distinguished themselves on the battlefield with commendations and gifts. Soldiers don't want to leave armies that appreciate them. I feel for these folks, but we have to convince them to stay. I think we might get some help from the servants of the gods. They'll tell the soldiers that the danger has not yet passed and inspire them to keep up the fight against evil. As long as the wound is open, the whole world is in danger. We can't just go home and live like we used to, no matter how badly we want that to happen. Most of the Crusaders are volunteers, but they have no right to subvert military discipline. That kind of attitude is tantamount to treason, regardless of who expresses it. We have to identify the instigators, arrest them, and administer harsh punishment to make an example of them. This problem is quite simply solved with coin, but handing out money to privates is practically throwing it away. We need to pay the officers handsomely. Then they'll figure out how to raise their subordinates' morale. I mean, as skeezy as he makes it sound, that really does just kind of come down to proper delegation of authority. Sort of. In short, we make sure that whatever orders are given, they are executed properly. Our job is to keep the soldiers' morale high, so they always follow their officers' commands without question. As for the officers themselves, we look out for any unseemly or incompetent types who subvert the troops' trust. Right, yeah, I guess that makes sense. You mind if we go around the table, do some quick introductions? Understood, Commander. Ask away. So, Sela, what brings you here, aside from your horse, which I see you have also brought with you? It's pretty self-explanatory. We're not fighting for a sawmill here. This is a crusade against the Abyss. When you're up against demons, you bring a paladin. It's a rule that's tried and very much true. Alright, fair enough. Regil. I feel like I already know the answer, but what exactly are you bringing to the table? I have extensive knowledge being in command, and as a Hell Knight I possess a firmness that some of your other officers may be lacking. The essence of my counsel is not to spoil your troops, but to maintain their discipline strategically. Amidst the chaos of war, a general has to be a beacon of order and purpose for their soldiers. They will be just as grateful to receive rewards or lashes from such a general. And most importantly, they won't even think to disobey your orders. Right, yeah, that does sound about like what I was expecting, thank you. Daeran, and what the hell are you doing here? I never would have expected you to volunteer for one of these councils. Yes, well, mostly I'm just waiting for it to end. But since I have little choice, I'll give you some advice on how to charm your subordinates, be they people of importance or simple commoners. I'll tell you the biggest secret straight away. Free money. Gold has the most miraculous power there is. And once again, man's got a point. How about you, Harmattan? What's your deal? I'd been in the Osirian infantry for 100 years, fighting for 3 pharaohs. Then, after I joined the Crusaders, I served Her Majesty Galfrey for 2 more decades. I dare to hope that I've gained decent experience over those years. Fair enough, okay. We're glad to serve. Okay, so let's discuss our options here. Sela, you said something about, priests or something? The situation is not that dire. Morale is high and we just won a major victory. So some have let down their guards. We have to call for priests and paladins to get it through to the volunteers that it's still early for celebration. If they leave for their homes today, Dresden will fall again tomorrow. And the day after, the demons will show up on their doorsteps. Servants of gods are indeed the masters of sweet-talking others into dying free of charge, all through pretty words. But when the choice comes down to inspired preaching or homemade pies, 9 of every 10 will look for comfort in their home and at their table. Their incentive needs to be more substantial than wasted breath. How about you, Regil? Do you have an example of something we're definitely not doing? There is no place in the army for the mindset of playing soldier today, then going home tomorrow. These dangerous ideas must be suppressed with the utmost harshness. We'll identify the most vocal rabble-rousers and exact punishment on them, as an example to others. They may be volunteers, but they join the ranks of the Crusaders. We can't abet in their rejection of their responsibilities, or we'll be heading towards complete chaos, and therefore, defeat. That's a great plan, if you want our soldiers to run back home twice as fast. They came here of their own volition. We must convince them to stay, not terrorize them into fighting. And thank you, Regil. That was indeed an excellent example of something we will not be doing. D, what you got for me? Our forces are in good spirits. It's just that the euphoria of victory has gone to a few heads. No one can sober them up quicker than the officers, especially those of lower rank. we'll give our dear oafs, all those sergeants and corporals, a bonus on the sly, then promise to sweeten the deal once they've convinced the volunteers to stay. Perhaps they will do so over a beer mug, or maybe with a broken nose. Why bother solving problems yourself when you can push them off on someone you pay? Again, not crazy about the phrasing, but that is just basic delegation. Yeah, maybe. Your bot loyalty will run out even sooner than your gold. Once soldiers turn into profiteers, instead of following orders, they start appraising them. They'll wonder whether or not it's worth their while to obey their general. I hardly need to explain the effects this will have on discipline. Yeah, they could turn out like me. That would be terrible, wouldn't it? How about you, Harmattan? The volunteers believe that we've almost won. Great. Let's not ruin this pretty illusion. Instead, we'll turn it to our advantage. We'll increase rations and pay for the privates, rewarding the most distinguished with commendations and gifts. Who would abandon the victors when they provide you with good food and even better coin? You know, that's actually not bad either. That's a maybe. It's naive to expect the troops won't understand that we would just be trying to appease them. An army cannot stand if it's held together by handouts and desperate promises. We shouldn't lie to our soldiers. If we build up flimsy illusions now, the demons will shatter them later. Those fighting alongside us must recognize the seriousness of the situation, instead of celebrating victory when the war has just begun. I don't know, I feel like there's a good middle ground we could hit. Celebrating our victories as they come, but realizing there is still more work to do. And more victories to celebrate. So what are your orders, Commander? Well, I've got two in mind. I feel like throwing money at things is kind of the Vex mindset. Since, of course, throwing money at him would make him happy. I think generally speaking, we're going to try to stick with options that obviously Vex would approve of. Though we'll also keep an eye on the mechanics, because in some cases certain choices might just have too much annoying baggage attached to them for us to want to deal with from a gameplay standpoint. Let's have a look at what each of these four options actually does. Okay, so Sela's thing gets Glory to the Heroes once a month. Small boost to morale, no strings attached. Then Regel's thing is Hunting Down Mutiny. That one can be repeated more often and has a larger morale boost, but comes at a slight hit to recruitment, which isn't great. Yeah, we're not doing that one. Then Daeran's thing, Bribes for the Officers, is once a month, and has a larger boost to morale, but also comes with a fairly hefty price tag, which does make sense. That one's not terrible. And then Harmattan's thing is Distributing Provisions, which is very similar to Daeran's, except the cost is in materials instead of finances. And generally speaking, finances are going to be a lot easier to come by than materials. Ultimately, morale is not going to be a huge problem, but it will be nice to have something we can do to boost it when needed. So with that in mind, I think we are going to, in fact, lean for Daeran's thing, because as we move forward, finances will eventually get to the point where there's no real shortage of them, so we should be able to easily afford the occasional boost to morale as needed. Plus, of course, it's in keeping with Vex's mindset, which is an added bonus. Daeran, go ahead and round up some funds and disperse them to the officers as you see fit. I've already tried my own hand at this stuff, and it has not worked out. So let's give delegation a shot. Wonderful. I'll get right on it. Well, not me personally, of course. I'll pay someone to bribe the officers on my behalf. Smart. Delegate your delegation. Thank you, Commander. Should any other difficulties arise that require your attention, I'll deliver a new report promptly. Yeah, you do that. Hello there. Hail, Commander. A middle-aged dwarf who has clearly seen some combat salutes you with one barely moving, bone-dry hand. On her face are huge, scarred claw marks. A black eye patch covers one eye, and she is watching you with the other, intent and somber. Dorgalinda Stranglehold, Chair of the Logistics Council at your service. We've got ourselves an ugly situation that requires your decision. Hey there, I'm on this here council too. You know me, I'm a tip-top logistics counselor. I mean, to be fair, he is essentially our party fence, so sort of? I hope I won't get in anyone's way if I join you. Arueshalae looks around with visible worry. I think I could give some good advice here. If you don't mind, of course. Hopefully this council will benefit from my vast experience surviving with gear that consists of rocks and sticks, and where any dinner that's not squirming on your plate is considered a feast. All in all, kind of like our crusade. Sure, why not? I won't lie to you, Commander. Our logistics are a mess. We need more of everything, and what we do have is in disarray. Crates of provisions are rotting away in storehouses because some idiot quartermaster spilled beer on the papers. And fools are not the worst problem. There's also theft. Some officers grease palms to get a helmet with stylish plumage or a fancy blade from Nerosian. Meanwhile, that means that ordinary soldiers are being armed with barely more than kitchen knives, hammers, and tongs. It's time to give the entire logistics staff the bum's rush. The question is, where do we find capable and honest people to replace them? The Army's always a mess. It's the Army, duh. If we want to get ourselves out of the bog, supplies have got to be handled by real moneymakers, not soldiers. Merchants, store clerks, people with a habit of counting every coin, not sucking away on the kingdom's udder. These scoundrels must be replaced with decent, honorable people. Selfless souls who have proven that they put their comrades' lives above all else, especially their own wealth. Surely that's who will take the best care of our soldiers. Let's get some veterans on the job, people who've had their fill of the front lines and who know firsthand what life is like for a common soldier, what the rations taste like, and how the boots are always the wrong size. My suggestion is to call some experienced, well-connected supply officers from Nerosian. Let them leave their cushy jobs in Mendev and work up a sweat for the good of the crusade. I don't know. I feel like pulling people out of cushy jobs to put them to real work would just lead to resentment. But, tell me about this council, Miss Stranglehold. The Logistics Council deals with all matters relating to supplying the army. Most issues will be trivial and undeserving of your attention. However, from time to time, serious decisions will need to be made. And that's when I'll convene the council. Okay, sure. You mind if we go around and introduce ourselves real quick? As you wish. Cool. So, Waljif, I notice you're at the table. Why? And why not, huh? I'm your man when it comes to fetching the unfetchable, you know. So I figured I could show the lads in your army how it's done. And it never hurts to be close to those in charge of grub and new boots. Understandable. Carry on. Aru, why are you here? Oh, you think I shouldn't have joined? Arueshalae looks away sheepishly. It's just, well, I spent a lot of time studying how armies work, both Crusader and Demonic, when I was spying. I think my advice might be useful. Or at least I hope it will be. But if I'm a bother, I'll leave, of course. Aru, I love having you here. I'm going to need you to take it down like 7 notches. Lan? I know a thing or two about gathering weapons and provisions. Compared to the war for survival we had to wage underground, you guys have it easy up here. If things go badly, I can teach your troops to live off of the land, and how to craft decent weapons from junk. They'll have memories of land special stew for years. I'm not sure if those will be fond memories, but they'll remember for sure. I will certainly keep that in mind. Miss Stranglehold, what's your deal? Over my years of doing quartermaster duty, I've managed to develop a bit of a reputation for myself. The units I'm responsible for are always properly equipped, armed, and fed. Thieves, scatterbrains, and reprobates promptly get the boot. Bureaucrats who never seem to have anything miraculously find everything they need after meeting with me. In short, don't you worry, Commander. I'm right where I belong. Good enough for me. Then let's get back to the pressing issue. Okay, let's discuss our options. Yes, Commander. So, Waljeff, what was your brilliant suggestion again? Easy. Why do quartermasters lose gear or drink it away? Because they're bunglers and drunks, obviously, but also because they're used to everything being funded. It's not theirs to lose, so they don't care. We'll bring in some savvy folks who know the price of coin. The money people, basically. I know a couple of fences. Now they, for some reason, could always find whatever they needed. They had everything in order, top-notch. You couldn't snatch a nail from them. Now, yes, there will be some skimming here and there, within reason. That's a given. It's in their nature, bless their grubby hands. But what matters is they'll be stealing after we get the soldiers everything that's needed. Or they'll be given the sack in no time. I'm not sure if that was supposed to be Waljeff's line or Stranglehold's. I'm pretty sure I know where Brother Waljeff will get his new quartermasters. I'd bet my horn it's Thieflings. Hey, nothing wrong with that. I feel like we made a pretty good impression on those guys. We saved a bunch of them, we helped them root out a traitor, we stood up to Sister Charisme, and we took Waljeff off their hands. I feel like that last one alone should probably buy us a lot of brownie points. No offense, Waljeff. And what was your thing, Aru? You wanted to trust in the kindness of strangers? A quartermaster's job is to care for the well-being of the soldiers they're equipping for battle. That means the best people to appoint to those positions are people who really care. Those who will keep their fighters warm, fed, and properly armed. Maybe they won't have the most experience, but that's all right. It's easier to teach someone numbers and how to run a warehouse than it is to instill a conscience in them. Aru, First of all, it's great to have you here. You are adorable. But good intentions do not make up for a lack of experience. Lan? In our tribe, we believe that the hunter's gear should be entrusted to the most seasoned hunter. To those who stalk the prey themselves and learn the price of a mistake in outfitting. An old bowstring, a dull spear, a tattered cloak, the hard way. I think that's how we should have it in the army. Whoever is responsible for supplies must know war firsthand. They must have dragged themselves through the mud of the battlefield and seen with their own eyes how a rotted strap or a boot one size too large can lead to a soldier's death. They must have eaten their share of rotten cabbages and seen carts of horseshoes and pots pull up to their position instead of ammunition because of some clerical error. Assign new quartermasters from the veterans, like Dorgalinda here. I bet they won't steal. And they won't let anyone else steal either. Just because veterans know what they want doesn't mean they know how to get it. For every smart one like Dorgalinda, you'll get 10 knuckleheads who've only ever been taught how to swing a sword. And if you take that sword from them, they'll never figure out how to pinch a new one. In his own way, Waljeff does have a point. It's not just about knowing what's needed on the field and what you can afford to give people. Sourcing is a huge part of being a quartermaster. Miss Stranglehold, thoughts? There are some great workers in Mendev who've been sitting at home for way too long. Let the Queen send them to us. Instead of counting buttons for the frock coats of Nerosian Royal Guard, Let them sort out our supplies. And they'll already have connections in Nerosian. They could easily have army property decommissioned and later sold to private buyers for next to nothing. And those buyers will just happen to be the same mercenaries we're negotiating with. Dorgalinda makes a face. Connections are all too important, as you well know. Well, that is an intriguing thought. Though it would basically be Waldjif's suggestion only with people we've disgruntled by dragging them out of Nerosian, and who would only really have connections in Nerosian. In theory? Okay, I think we're ready. Then what's your move? Expensive equipment. +1 to attack and AC on units, okay. Responsible intendants, ready for anything. +2 on all savings throws. Useful, but not as sexy. Experiences. Experienced intendants, only the essentials. +10% max HP. Not terrible, not particularly compelling. I feel like so much damage gets thrown around in serious battles that would be largely moot. Well-connected intendants. Equipment from the state. +1 to attack and savings throws. Oh, but on mercenaries, interesting. So trainable. Trainable. So the top 3 options are all for our specific trainable units, but then Dorgalinda's is specifically for the mercenaries. So I think we want to focus on our trainable units, which we'll be using in our main army. Well, Jiff, let's get ourselves set up with some new quartermasters. Please don't make me regret this. Trust me, Chief, we can't go wrong with those guys. You just gotta watch what they're selling and to whom. If they're by their lonesome, they might sell something to the demons. Nah, I'm kidding. They won't. At least not to the demons. Probably. Look, it'll be fine. Then it's decided. No matter what our new quartermasters are like, there's no possible way they can be worse than what we have now. The results will be reported to you. If anything else comes up, I'll call the council right away. Great.
Let's save some adventures for later.
A sharp-looking kitsune gives you a quick, business-like bow. Commander, the matters before us are urgent, so let's not stand on ceremony. I am Lady Kanomi, the official attaché of Nerosian. Here are my credentials. She presents a scroll adorned with Galfrey seal. Her Majesty has instructed me to lead your headquarters' diplomatic council. Honestly, I was surprised when Lady Kanomi asked me to join this council, but I will do my best to fill the shoes of a trained diplomat. Yeah, strange. I got invited to the council too. I'm sure foreign ambassadors will be thrilled to see my face and my manners. Lady Kanomi, you haven't mistaken me for some other Crusader Lan, have you? Waldjif is positively swelling with pride. Now this is the place to apply my talents. You know me, Chief. I have a way with words. If a fellow once managed to smooth-talk the Golden Hands goons, he can talk anybody into anything. I, like many nobles, have been trained in diplomacy, and in fact I hold the title of Royal Emissary. It is passed down the Arende line. I must say that prior to this day, I employed my diplomatic skills solely to undermine Mendev's international reputation. It is time to break that habit. I imagine preventing international scandals will be just as interesting as causing them. Who knows? I might even enjoy it. Gotta say, Lady Kanomi, this is a very interesting assortment of characters you have assembled here for this council. What exactly are we supposed to accomplish with this? To solve matters of politics, of course. The Crusade is more than just battles and sieges. It is the largest military project in all of Avestan, funded by the treasuries of more than a dozen major powers. And each one of those powers, in addition to seeking victory over the demons, also pursues its own goals. The Diplomatic Council will manage this tangle of political interests and prevent the Crusade from losing the favor of influential benefactors. And while we're at it, ensure that Nerosian remains satisfied with the state of affairs. After all, for the last 100 years, the entirety of Mendevian politics has revolved around the Crusades, in some shape or form. That is why the capital has sent me here. To observe, offer suggestions, and keep the diplomatic situation under control. Oh, right, okay, I get it. So you're here to keep tabs on me. Whatever gave you that idea, Commander? I'm not an overseer. I'm your loyal advisor. I do not intend to meddle in the way you run things, just consult with you in cases where the price of error is too high. Put your trust in me, and we'll get along swimmingly. After all, none of us here want to see Cheliax and Druma at each other's throats, trying to settle their dispute by using their influence on us as political leverage. Am I wrong? And I doubt you would like it if we made enemies in the ranks of Nerosian nobility, who would attempt to undermine your war effort. This won't happen as long as you trust my experience. Hate to break it to you, Lady Konomi, but that has already happened and I'm already taking care of it. But sure, let's give this a shot. I mean, I can already tell I'm not going to like you, but I might as well go through the motions, I suppose. Alright, so what's the deal with this Royal Council? What's their problem exactly? I've never even met these guys. The Royal Council, operating under Her Majesty, is the highest governing body in Mendev, and comprises her most able and trusted servants. It is responsible for day-to-day matters of state. They are the hands and the voice of the Queen. The Council has gathered people from all walks of life. Some of them are nobles, but many more are citizens of humble origins, who earned their positions through their wit. Many are rich, but a fair number of them are of more humble means. Some are pious and pure of heart, like Lord Inquisitor Kasori, and Captain Jaspar of the Crusader Heralds. Others are more flexible and ambitious, but each of them faithfully serves Mendev's cause. So why exactly did you choose this assortment of people to be here? I mean, I have my suspicions, but I'd kind of like to hear it from you. Why, Commander, do you find someone's presence surprising? Well, I mean, So immediately stated he has no idea what he's doing here. That won't be a problem. In my homeland, Tianxia, inviting clerics and paladins of Shaylin, the Lady of Chrysanthemums, to take part in diplomatic missions is a common practice. They may not be politicians, but they are perceptive, advocate peace, and favor balanced solutions. I'm flattered by the respect that the worshippers of my goddess receive in Lady Konomi's homeland. Sociel bows his head courteously. I won't let you down, Vex, and I'll make every effort to prevent our friends from becoming our enemies. Alright, and Daeran. You can't tell me with a straight face that you had a good reason for inviting him. No offense, buddy. I invited Count Arende because of his influence, naturally. He's a Mendevian aristocrat. The nobility will be inclined to listen to his opinion, and by ensuring the support of the nobles, we'll find ourselves powerful allies. Daeran sneers back at her. Oh, believe me, Lady Konomi, I will exert all my effort and influence to make this council's job exciting. Yeah, that sounds about right. And Lan, who literally has no idea why he's here? What's the explanation there? We diplomats call this little trick Mysterious Garundi Prince. During negotiations, it's always useful to have on your side a representative of some obscure but potentially populous and powerful nation. Without knowing what they're up against and how many mongrels there are, Our diplomatic partners will have to contend with this dark horse. So Mr. Lan will be our mongrel prince. If we're negotiating with foreign ambassadors and I make this sign, Lady Kenomi crosses her fingers in an intricate gesture, you immediately start talking about how offensive their proposition is to the mongrel people. Do we have a deal, Mr. Lan? Lan scoffs and glowers at Lady Kenomi. I suspected that the word diplomat was synonymous with fraud, but I thought you would be deceiving me, not deceiving others with my help. No, that's not an option. I can represent the mongrels in negotiations, but I'm not going to lie through my teeth. Good on you, Lan. I respect that. And, what about Waljif? I would love to hear this one. Why is he here? Again, no offense, buddy. Actually, like, medium offense. You understand. I can see that this tiefling possesses a keen mind, and the most important trait in politics, a complete lack of conscience. He would make a terrible leader, but he'll prove useful to you as an advisor. Yep, I traded my conscience for a cherry roll back when I was a kid. Hey, what do you mean, terrible? Yeah, this is making a lot of sense. So, Lady Kenomi, what can you tell me about yourself, aside from your complete lack of conscience and willingness to lie and manipulate people to get what you want? Lady Kenomi lowers her eyes in a show of modesty. It's unbecoming of a diplomat to talk about themselves at length, but how am I to refuse you? I come from Tianjia, from the noble Kitsune. Like any Kitsune, I have always been curious to a fault, and my adventures brought me to Avestan, and here in your lands I met my first and true love, politics. I've served as a diplomat in the courts of 6 different sovereigns, but working for Her Majesty turned out to be the most interesting of all. Such riveting webs of intrigues and interests are spun around the Crusade and the World Wound. So this is all a game to you, and you are just playing to win. I see how it is. Normally I'd respect that. I mean, Vex is not above lying and cheating to get what he wants, but I really doubt he'd be the type to appreciate being manipulated. Or having someone else talk down to him, as easy as that is to do, physically speaking. Hence, Murder Cat. I think I get it. In that case, why don't we discuss our first pressing diplomatic issue? Sure, what have you got for me? I hate to say it, Commander, but not everyone in Erosian is pleased with your progress. Some believe that, to use their words, you are out of control and fancy yourself an independent leader. It wouldn't surprise me if you encountered supply disruptions in the near future. I would suggest quelling their anger. Show the capital you haven't forgotten about the chain of command. For example, you could hold a parade in honor of Her Majesty. If we need to demonstrate that we're keeping Erosian in mind, why don't we invite the capital's high priest to Dresden for a religious festival? It'll be appropriate, and the church's support will shield us from the accusations of schemers. Pander to the naysayers? I think not. I propose we hold a parade in your honor, Commander Godglove. This is your victory, and if Cousin Galfrey wants to show off in front of the soldiers, she's welcome to capture something of her own. Lan's eyes flash with anger. Are they out of their mind? We've got a whole Dresden full of soldiers who need medicine, food, and weapons. Until everyone's been taken care of, we can't waste a single coin on pointless celebrations. We gotta show we're loyal? No sweat. We grease some palms in the Royal Council and they'll sing songs about how we're all devoted and well-behaved. Yeah, that does sound about right. So what exactly have I done to incur the wrath of this Royal Council? I feel like we've done nothing but win since I showed up. For like the first time in the past 150 years or so. So, you know, what could they possibly be complaining about? That is precisely the problem. You are too good. You reclaimed Canabris, you won the Battle of Dresden, you're a menace to the world wound. Your authority grows, and the influence of the Queen's confidants diminishes. This creates the impression that there's only enough space for you at the top. The members of the Royal Council are afraid that you will muscle them out of the political arena altogether. A valid concern. I am pretty great. Continue. After all, if you're doing so well, maybe Her Majesty doesn't need them that much. Therefore, they might try to discredit you, impede your war effort, reduce the scale of your victories. Make some concessions, and they'll see that you're open to negotiations. This is actually pretty interesting. I have some thoughts, but I'll hold off for the moment. Let's talk about our options here. Lady Kenomi gives you a look of surprise. Whatever for? Aren't the wishes of the capital obvious enough? Although, very well. Let us hear their counsel. So, you wanted to, invite a priest here or something? How would that help us? Without a doubt, we should remain loyal to the Queen and respect the hierarchy. But that doesn't mean we have to kowtow to the Royal Council whenever they ask. I think we should neither do their bidding nor seek to quarrel with them. Rather, we should try to take the middle path. The High Priest of Nerosian is a powerful figure, yet he's not a schemer or a politician. By inviting him to the festival, we'll both show that we're not cutting ties with Nerosian, and let them know that we have influential friends, and are not about to buckle under the Royal Council. The High Priest, not a schemer? I mean, I haven't met him or anything, but you won't find bigger thieves and swindlers in this world than the Church. We'll end up donating half our spoils before we know it. It's better to hobnob with the most crooked clerks than with holier-than-thous. To be fair, we did see a lot of shenaniganery from the Church of Shaylin back in Kingmaker. So Daeran, what was your thing? Throwing a parade in my honor? I like that. Please, elaborate. There is a fine line between taunting and setting boundaries, and between showing respect and putting on a collar. Mind you, I'm not suggesting anything treasonous or disrespectful. A parade in honor of the true hero of Dresden and Canabris. What could be more natural than that? Besides, a healthy amount of disobedience guarantees that people won't pester you with lectures and nonsense as often. A dozen tutors responsible for my upbringing can attest to that. Provoking the capital would be unwise. We're trying to avoid unpleasant consequences, not expedite them. I'm sure that was merely an extravagant jest on the Count's part. Now you've overcorrected, Lady Kenomi. Now I just think you're bad at your job because you think that Daeran was joking. But, Lan, you had something for us? You wanted us to do nothing? That's right. And what are they going to do about it? We're the ones protecting them from the demons, not the other way around. Having loyalties from the capital is great, but there are more important things, like having the loyalty of our own soldiers. When the demons come, what'll we do? Shake our fists and say we've got powerful friends in Nerosian? Why, that's true. Who needs to stay friends with those who supply you with provisions, recruits, and weapons? And there's certainly no reason to fear that base jealousy and envy at the sight of your glory might get the better of their common sense. Because that has certainly never happened before. Wait, we're just going to start handing out coin to soldiers? Yeah, you know what? If I were a capital bureaucrat, I would have gotten antsy and cut our supplies too. It's an obvious sign that we're buying our troops' loyalty before we throw a coup. See, Waljif actually makes an interesting point, in that if we're too independent, it would look a lot more suspicious. So, Waljif, your thing was what? Bribing the council? I reckon the only thing all those fat-ass bureaucrats care about is us hogging all the glory and loot, and leaving them with bupkis. If we share the wealth, they'll be yelling their brains out about how great we are, because they'll all be lining their pockets with each of our victories. So now we're bribing people so they don't bother us while we're fighting their war? What's next? Paying taxes for every demon we kill? An interesting counterpoint from Daeran. But, I mean, Daeran's whole solution to our other problem was to bribe officers. And then, Konomi, you had a thing? Yes, a parade for Queen Galfrey would be symbolic and affordable. Show them how much you respect and value Her Majesty. Make a curtsy to those who pay for your arrows, swords, and bread. The Royal Council has power. You wouldn't want to turn those patrons into adversaries and test whose influence is greater, yours or theirs. Please them, and they will stop worrying about your loyalty. And you will be able to focus on your war. So let me get this straight. Hiding behind our backs and buying their safety from the demon invasion with bread and other people's lives as a new form of charity? Are you sure we shouldn't go to them, drop to our knees, and thank them for allowing us to die in this war? Well, Lan, we're getting a bit too real here. Let's scale it back slightly, please. But I think we've heard enough. Then I will arrange for the organization of festivities in Queen Galfrey's name. Probably not, but let's have a look at the actual mechanics here. Religious feast. Once every 45 days, energy income increases at the cost of finance income. Not terrible, but I really don't think we need that much energy right now. And then Daeran suggested Commander's Parade. Every 45 days, the cost of recruiting mercenaries is reduced, but so is material point income by a whopping 25%. Oh my goodness. Daeran, man, I love you, but that is too steep a price for too shallow a return. Keep in mind, we can only recruit mercenaries once a month anyway. I hate to say it, but I think we're going to have to pass on that one. Then Lan suggested keeping it all in-house. That's yet another morale boost. Again, at the cost of finances, which we already have. We already have an order that does that, so that would be redundant. And again, I just don't really see morale as being that much of a problem. Not if we keep crushing enemy encampments. And Waljif recommended bribery. Every 45 days, material income increases at the cost of finance income. That's actually a pretty favorable ratio. 20% more materials at the cost of 10% finance. There's some possibilities there. And then, of course, we have the Royal Parade. That's just a straight-up 10% increase to finances, no strings attached. Not bad, but I think at this point it's pretty clear I'm not going to give Lady Konomi the satisfaction of choosing her option. Yeah, see, technically she might be right about some of this stuff. She's smart, but she just came in swinging too hard. She tried to stack the deck in her favor, and it's just in Vex's nature, I think, to push back on that. So we will instead go with Waljif's thing. A moment, Commander. I understand that you're used to being the highest authority in all matters, but political decisions are an exception. I am a professional in this field, you are not. By ignoring my recommendations, you are not only deliberately seeking conflict with the capital, but disregarding common sense as well. I urge you to reconsider. Careful now. I'm actually pretty sure she deliberately chose the people for the council that she did, because it would make her seem like the most experienced and sane voice in the room. She was trying to stack the deck so that we'd go with her suggestions. But no, I feel like cutting out the middleman and going straight for the Royal Council is just easier and cleaner. Lady Konomi's voice hardens. I cannot challenge your decision. However, I have no choice but to inform the capital that you have disregarded my recommendations. Actions like these are precisely what gave Nerosian cause for concern, Commander. I hope you will revise this defiant stance in future. Yeah, I'm not really sure I see that happening, but you never know. The clinking of coin is the sound of a deep, mutually beneficial friendship. Let's see what our new pals can do for us. And with that, we bring this meeting of the Diplomatic Council to a close. It is unfortunate that things were so tense, but I'm sure we'll soon have many more opportunities to resolve any misunderstandings between us. She seems nice. The tall, gaunt half-elf salutes you solemnly. Commander, it is an honor to call this first meeting of the Military Council to order. I am Captain Odan, and I've been serving under your command ever since the assault on the Great Garrison. I will do my best to be of as much use to you as possible in this role. You have a portrait. The foundation of the military is cold calculation and discipline. These are the principles I will seek to impart to the Crusaders. If we are to win this war, we must forget about mercy. For our enemies, for our troops, and for ourselves. Cool. Well, Commander, your sister Seila is no renowned general, but she spent half her life tussling with evil. It looks like I'll be stepping up on behalf of all of Iomede's faithful here. I hope my advice will prove useful. And no Grey Boar. Interesting. The first issue on the Military Council's agenda is the reorganization of troops. Our infantry has been bled dry. The forces Her Majesty granted us were enough to take Dresden, but we need more troops to hold it. Furthermore, the army was assembled in great haste after the assault on Canabris, and was never adequately equipped. Unfortunately, we don't have much time for redeployment. Our scouts report that a powerful Baelor, Karamzada, the Storm King, is already preparing a retaliatory strike on Dresden, but we can rely on freshly conscripted Mendevian soldiers. They might not have the skill, but our strength, as always, lies in the number and the fervor of the volunteers joining the Crusades. We can't throw everyone into the meat grinder. We'll just get our youths killed for nothing. We need to select the best among the recruits, or even better, hold a contest. The bravest and the most capable will join the Crusaders. The death count is always highest in the infantry. Its purpose is to serve as a shield. It would be wise to invest our resources in hiring and training heavy footmen, with shields to ensure maximum protection, even if it limits their mobility and makes them less threatening to the enemy. Interesting. And then I believe, if Grey Boar were here, he would have suggested spearmen. The Military Council determines the strategy for our troops, enacts army reforms, approves new equipment standards, and makes decisions on all issues regarding military action on the front lines. Cool, cool. And you said something about a Baelor? Not the same one I beat the crap out of when we took Dresden, right? Karamzada? He's the most trusted servant of the Demon Lord Discari. Among the historians of the Mendevian Crusades, he's also known as the strategist of the World Wound. He's not as renowned as Menago, the conqueror of Dresden, or Hepzimira, daughter of Baphomet, but he has claimed the most major victories over the forces of Mendev. He's a general, and quite possibly one of the best tacticians in the entire Abyss. Also, he's the guy on the main menu screen. I've been studying his style of warfare for years. He may seem like an ordinary demon, another typical war taskmaster, but that's a fallacy. Like a beast following a scent, he senses weaknesses in his enemy's defenses and strikes at them, sending soldiers to bring targeted carnage. His uncanny charisma attracts more and more soldiers to him, so he's never short on troops and sacrifices them like pawns whenever he pleases, in order to achieve his victories. Karamzada is the face of the demon host. For many years I've been gathering research on him, preparing for the day our armies would clash with his once more. I hope my council will help you defeat him. But so far, Karamzada has known no defeats. I'm not sure that's accurate. I think Karamzita was supposed to be like the main demon of the Third Crusade? I have questions. We're ready to answer any questions you may have, Commander. Sela, sup? I see you brought your horse again. That's cool. You've never really had a command role, have you? Not on a scale like this, of course not, but I fought evil and I know its tricks. Besides, war makes people callous, and it's always useful to have a paladin advisor around to remind you at a crucial moment what we're actually fighting for, right? I'm like 60% with you. Regil, here's your chance to talk. Tell us how great you are. I do have command experience, and I intend to impart to the Crusaders at least a modicum of the discipline and rigidity of the Hell Knights. The quality of the Mendevian staff currently available to you leaves much to be desired. Regil glances at the wincing Captain Odin. That much is certain. And what say ye to that, Captain Odin? Captain Odin bows ceremoniously. I've served on the front lines of the Mendevian armies for over 25 years, and in that time I've gained a wealth of combat experience. His voice sounds calm, but his face darkens at the mention of a wealth of combat experience. I'm considered one of the foremost experts on tactics and strategy in Queen Galfrey's officer corps. And you have a picture, which makes me take you more seriously. I've spent my whole life studying the craft of warfare, and I'm familiar with the thoughts of all prominent military leaders of the last 5 centuries. Furthermore, I wholeheartedly believe in the traditions of Mendev's military art, and will gladly share my knowledge with you, Commander. Great. I'm actually working on some books to sort of help people run through simulated battles. If you'd like to maybe help me with that later, I'll be in touch. But yes, I think I've heard enough about whatever we were just discussing. Excellent. We're glad to be of service, Commander. Everyone looks at you expectantly. Sela, you said something about having the best and the bravest and coolest troops, right? Expound upon that idea for me. Expound, I say! I mean, we can't just send untrained rookies to a slaughter. We have the right to command only those who are ready for battle, those who can defeat the enemy. We must find out who has the skill and the guts. Contests are perfect for that, and a little excitement for our warriors couldn't hurt either. We won't get that many winners, but their strength will come from their prowess, not their numbers. Your proposal will leave us with an infantry full of selfish risk-takers, dreaming of glory and valor. That is bad material for a soldier. The infantry's role is to be a shield for the archers and the mages. All they're required to do is follow orders and hold the line, until victory or death. Ambitious loners cherry-picked through contest of skill are not fit to perform this duty. Once again, Regil, I feel like you forget who you're talking to here. I am a selfish risk-taker, dreaming of glory and valor. Present and accounted for. But what did you want? You wanted, like, guys with shields or something? Yes, Commander. The infantry is the meat shield intended to catch the blade of the opposing army in its flesh. The shield must be reliable. That is all that is required of it. That is why I would like to see well-armored shield-bearers as our foot soldiers. We must have the option of pitting ranks of footmen against a tide of rampaging demons, knowing with certainty that they will not scatter or die until they have completed their task. Cool. Yeah, that sounds horrifying. And, Captain Odin, I believe you suggested something similar. Yours was the meat grinder thing? Yes, institute a draft and try to amass as many new soldiers from Mendev and other lands as we can. We've always drawn our strength from our zeal and our determination to oppose evil. If we start holding contests or selections, we'll turn a holy crusade into a job for the chosen few, and scare away future volunteers. If we try changing our tried-and-true tactics, we'll lose valuable time, and our army is in need of fresh blood right now. he said to the Chosen One, leading his chosen few to turn back the tide. Okay, so Seala's thing would get us champions. Those are essentially glass cannons, massive damage output, but with incredibly low armor class and hit points. We can shore that up somewhat, but they will still drop in droves if they end up getting directly targeted by any stronger enemy unit, or a general spell. Inversely, we've got the exact opposite, Regel's Shield Bearers, who have massive hit points and durability, but negligible offense. And then Odin's thing is conscripts, which are essentially slightly weaker shieldmen. About half as durable, but very, very slightly higher offense, which honestly I think makes them the worst pick of the three. Though I believe they're cheaper, so there is that. In theory, you'd be able to stack more of them faster. That said, I feel like there's only one real option for us here, and that is the champions. That is very much a Vex thing. High risk, high reward. Also, more contests and games. A cheeky smile blossoms on Seala's face. You know, I think I might hit the arena once or twice myself to test the rookies. It'll be a nice warm-up. Captain Odin salutes you formally. Thank you for your time, Commander. When the reforms are finished and the ranks of our infantry are replenished, I will assemble the military council to discuss your new decisions. Sounds good. Oh, and I'll be in touch about the whole new genre of gaming I just invented. And we are done. Haha, victory lap. A very slow and plodding victory lap as we loop around the table. Oh man, what are we, 90 minutes in now? So this is about a double-length episode almost. But, you know, sore throat aside, I actually really enjoyed that. Aside from the lore and meeting new characters and exploring various events and seeing familiar faces, I really liked the banter between our companions, and I wish there was more of it. And this is a really great chance to see that sort of thing. The councils are populated with our friends and allies we've gathered, minus Cam, but I consider that a bonus. I would have liked to see Nenio, though. I feel like she would have made some very unorthodox and amusing suggestions that against all odds might have actually been useful. Anyway, that knocks out the bulk of the forced encounters here in Dresden. We still have a bunch of other stuff we have to do. And it has set up some new quest hooks that we will want to pursue. Most notably, I think, So out in the graveyard with the night gambling thing. And then Captain... I'm blanking on his name, but the leader of the Blackstone mercenaries, he clearly wanted to talk to us, so we should probably track him down and have a chat. Not to mention Waljif also wanted a follow-up, so we'll need to track him down as well. But that said, my throat is getting pretty worn here. We're 90 minutes in. I think this is a good place to call it. We will hit the pause button for now. I will spend some time recuperating, make a list of the highest priority Dresden events we need to hit before we leave again. And we will pick up here next time. See you then. Oh, and remember, although I do love playing Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, you can find out more about the game by visiting the official website, the official social media feeds, or the official store pages. And if you'd like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things, or maybe even check out the Patreon. Links are in the description.
Let's save some adventures for later.